Everyone says confidence is built through success. They're wrong. Real confidence? It's forged in the fire of public humiliation. I know because I watched Kiana Carter get destroyed on camera. 300,000 people saw her pain go viral, but only one person saw what happened next. The mysterious Korean exchange student everyone called Ice Prince didn't just witness her destruction. He kept the evidence, made her a promise. And 3 months later, when she came back, he made sure nobody would ever touch her again. But before I tell you what happened in that courtyard, hit subscribe right now. Because what you're about to hear will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about transformation. The September heat felt suffocating as Kiana Carter stood behind the gym building, clutching a homemade lunchbox wrapped in cloth printed with tiny strawberries. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Inside were kimbap rolls she'd spent 3 hours perfecting, watching YouTube tutorials until midnight, her mother knocking on her door asking if she planned to sleep at all. Through the chain-link fence, she could see Damon Mitchell shooting hoops with his friends, his blonde hair catching the sunlight like some kind of movie scene. Damon, who'd helped her pick up scattered books when Jason Park accidentally knocked them from her arms. Damon, who actually smiled at her in the hallways. She adjusted her glasses, took a breath, rounded the corner. Damon? He turned. For one beautiful second, his expression was open, kind. Oh, hey Kiana, what's up? The words tumbled out before she could stop them. I made you something. I know you mentioned once that you liked Korean food, and I thought maybe, I really like you. Like, more than friends. Would you want to go to the fall festival with me next week? The silence that followed felt like drowning in slow motion. Damon's eyes dropped to the lunchbox, then traveled slowly up and down her 240-pound frame. Kiana felt every pound under that gaze. She'd worn her nicest dress, the navy blue one her aunt sent from Atlanta, but suddenly it felt like a costume. Are you serious right now? His laugh started small, then grew. You think I'd go anywhere with you? Kiana, I can barely see you behind all of that. He made a circular gesture at her body. I was just being nice in the hallway. That's what decent people do. But let me be crystal clear. I would never, ever date someone like you. You're basically a sumo wrestler in a dress. The lunchbox slipped from her fingers, hit concrete with a dull thud. Yo, Damon? Is that the Carter girl? Jason Park's voice rang out. Within seconds, a crowd materialized. Phones out, cameras recording. Did she really just try to ask you out? Wait, someone get this. Damon picked up the lunchbox. For 1 second, Kiana hoped. He opened it, held up a kimbap roll to the crowd. Who wants free food from the buffet? He tossed it to Jason, who juggled it before deliberately dropping it on the ground. The laughter felt like physical blows. Here's where it gets worse. Way worse. Kiana ran. Behind her, the chant started. Sumo Kiana! Sumo Kiana! She didn't stop until she reached the old music room, the abandoned one nobody used. Collapsed against the wall. Slid down to the dusty floor. Finally let herself sob. The video already has 200 views. Her head snapped up. Standing in the doorway was Kenji Yoon, the Korean exchange student who'd arrived 3 weeks ago. Impossibly tall, sharp features, dark hair falling across his forehead. In his hand, his phone, screen facing her. I'm sorry, but you should know, they're calling it Sumo Girl's confession. Kiana wanted to die. Right there. Just disappear completely. Kenji walked in carrying something, her backpack. You dropped this. I brought it. He set it beside her, then did something unexpected. He sat down too, back against the opposite wall. Respectful distance. Why are you here? Kiana managed through tears. Because everyone else is out there laughing, and that seemed wrong. Silence stretched between them. Finally, Kenji spoke again, In Seoul, I was bullied too. Different reasons. They said I was too serious, too cold. Called me Ice Prince because I didn't laugh at their jokes. He glanced at her. People are cruel when they don't understand something. I'm not something to understand. I'm just fat. That's all they see. That's all they choose to see. There's a difference. He stood brushing dust from his uniform. The video will spread. By tomorrow, everyone will have seen it. But videos become old news quickly. In 1 month, something new. 6 months. Most people will have forgotten. But I won't forget. Kenji paused at the door. No, you won't. But maybe that's not entirely bad. Sometimes we need to remember the pain to understand why we choose to change, not for them, but for ourselves. Then, he was gone, leaving Kiana alone with her tears and the faint echo of his words. The video hit 300,000 views in 24 hours. But something else was happening. Something nobody expected. Not even Kiana herself. The aftermath was brutal. Kiana stopped going to the cafeteria, ate lunch in the library with her 2 best friends, Tasha Williams and Keisha Johnson, who formed a protective wall around her. I'm going to punch Damon Mitchell in his stupid face, Tasha announced on day 3, cracking her knuckles. She was the tallest girl in their grade, volleyball captain, Kiana's friend since elementary school. You'll get suspended, Keisha pointed out, though her dark eyes flashed with anger. But I'm not opposed to creative revenge, itching powder in his gym clothes. I just want everyone to forget, Kiana said quietly, not eating her sandwich. They will, Tasha assured her. But before they could plot anything, Kenji Yoon appeared at their table. First time since the music room. I need to borrow Kiana. Tasha and Keisha exchanged glances. Why? Tasha asked suspiciously. Project. Ms. Harper assigned us as partners for the Korean culture presentation. It was true. Kiana vaguely remembered something about partnerships. Go ahead, Keisha said, studying Kenji with interest, but we're watching. Kenji led Kiana to an empty classroom, closed the door. We're not actually working on the project right now. Then why? Because you need a break from sympathetic looks and protective friends, and because I have a proposal. He pulled out his phone, showed her the video. Kiana flinched. This video has 50,000 views now. Comments are mostly terrible. But look at this thread. He scrolled to a comment chain where people were actually defending her, calling Damon a bully, saying she was brave. I don't feel brave. I feel humiliated. Brave and humiliated aren't mutually exclusive, but here's what I'm proposing. We use this. Not for revenge. Revenge is petty and temporary. For transformation. Wait. Here's where this story takes a turn you won't see coming. My cousin in Seoul runs a wellness center, Kenji continued. She specializes in holistic health, not crash diets or dangerous supplements, but actual sustainable change. Mental health, physical health, self-confidence. She's helped hundreds of people. I don't have money for... She owes me a favor, a big one. I'm calling it in. For you. Kiana stared at him. Why would you do that? You barely know me. Because I know what it's like to be judged for something you can't immediately change, and because when I saw you make that confession, before everything went wrong, I saw someone with real courage. That's rare. Something in his tone made Kiana's heart skip. What would I have to do? Come to Seoul with me during winter break. Work with my cousin for 3 weeks. If you hate it, you can leave anytime. But I think you might find something there you've been looking for. And what's that? Yourself. The version that existed before this school told you who you should be. Kiana's mother surprised her with her response. But what happened in Seoul? That's where this story becomes something else entirely. Stay with me. Baby, you've been miserable for weeks. Cheryl Carter said that evening, sitting on Kiana's bed. If this boy and his family are offering to help, and it's safe, maybe it's exactly what you need. Fresh start. New perspective. But it's so far away, and expensive. I've been saving for your college fund. We can use some for the flight. Consider it an investment in your future. She cupped Kiana's face gently. You're beautiful, baby girl. Always have been. But if you want to make changes for yourself, not for those cruel kids, but for you, then I support it. That night, Kiana lay awake thinking about Kenji's words. The version that existed before this school told you who you should be. Who was that girl? She tried to remember. There'd been a time, maybe age 7 or 8, when she'd loved her body. She'd been strong, climbed trees, ran fast, helped her grandmother in the community garden, carrying heavy bags of soil without complaint. When had that confidence disappeared? Gradually, bit by bit, as classmates made comments, as mirrors became enemies, as she learned to take up less space, speak more quietly, hide more completely. Maybe Kenji was right. Maybe Seoul wasn't about becoming someone new. It was about rediscovering someone old. The next morning she found Kenji before first period. I'll go. To Seoul. I'll work with your cousin. Something flickered in his eyes. Approval? Relief? Good. I'll make the arrangements. We leave December 15th. Kenji? She stopped him. Why are you really doing this? Tell me the truth. He was quiet for a long moment. Because when I watched that video, I didn't see what everyone else saw. I saw someone who risked everything for a chance at happiness. That's not weakness, Kiana. That's the strongest thing a person can do. He walked away before she could respond, leaving her with a strange warmth blooming in her chest. Seoul in winter was a revelation. The city glittered with lights, snow dusting traditional hanok roofs in Bukchon village, where Kenji's cousin, Dr. Kenji Yoon, ran her wellness center. Welcome, Sujin said warmly, embracing Kiana despite being a stranger. Early 30s, kind eyes, athletic build. Kenji has told me about your situation. I want to be clear from the start. This isn't about making you skinny. This is about making you strong. Mentally, physically, emotionally. The center was beautiful. Natural wood. Paper screens. Views of snow-covered gardens. 5 other people there for the 3-week intensive program, from various countries, all with their own stories. The days fell into rhythm. Morning meditation and yoga. Nutritious meals that were actually delicious, therapy sessions with Sujin, afternoon hikes through Seoul's mountains, evening journaling and group discussions. But the most surprising part was Kenji. He stayed in Seoul for the entire break, showed up every afternoon after Kiana's official programming ended. I thought you'd go back to your family, Kiana said on the 3rd day as they walked through Insadong, browsing art galleries and tea shops. I am with family. My parents are in Busan until New Year's. Besides, Seoul is better with someone to show it to. But wait. Here's what nobody tells you about transformation. It's not about the weight. It's never about the weight. He took her everywhere. Gyeongbokgung Palace, where they wore traditional hanbok and took silly photos. Hongdae, where street performers danced and sang. Namsan Tower at sunset, where the entire city spread out below them like a blanket of stars. This is where I used to come when the bullying got bad, Kenji admitted at the tower's observation deck. I'd look out at all these lights and remember that my problems were just one tiny speck in a massive world. Does it still hurt? What they said to you? Sometimes. But less now. I've learned that people's cruelty says more about them than about me. Kiana felt something shift between them that night. They weren't just student and helper anymore. They were friends. Maybe more. By week 2, Kiana noticed changes. Not dramatic weight loss. Sujin had been clear that wasn't the goal, but strength. She could hike longer without getting winded. Her clothes fit differently. More importantly, her mind felt clearer. That constant negative voice had grown quieter. "You're glowing," Sujin observed during their therapy session. "And I don't mean physically, though, yes. You're absolutely blooming. I mean internally. You're finding your center." "I think I'm falling for him," Kiana blurted out. Sujin smiled knowingly. "Kenji? Is it stupid? After everything, with Damon, I should be scared. Or maybe you're learning the difference between someone who sees you as an object to ridicule and someone who sees you as a person worth knowing. That's not stupid, Kiana. That's growth." Their last night in Seoul changed everything. And I mean everything. Don't go anywhere. On their last night in Seoul, Kenji took Kiana to a tiny restaurant in Itaewon that served the best Korean BBQ she'd ever tasted. Snow was falling outside, turning the city into a snow globe. "I'm scared to go back," Kiana admitted over dinner. "To Riverside, to all those people who watched the video. You're not the same person who left." Kenji reached across the table and took her hand. The gesture was so unexpected that Kiana froze. "They'll see that immediately. What if they don't? What if they just see fat Kiana? Then they're blind. But Kiana? Some of them will be blind. And you need to be okay with that. You can't control what they see. You can only control who you choose to be." His thumb traced circles on her palm, sending shivers up her arm. That night, walking back through falling snow, Kenji suddenly stopped under a streetlight. "There's something I need to tell you." Kiana's heart raced. "What?" "I didn't just bring you here out of kindness." "What do you mean?" "When I saw you make that confession to Damon, I didn't just see courage. I saw—" He paused, struggling with words for the first time since she'd known him. "I saw someone I wanted to know. Someone real in a school full of people playing roles. And when he humiliated you, I wanted to destroy him. But violence isn't my way. So I chose this instead. Helping you become everything you were always meant to be." "Kenji, I'm not finished. I need you to understand that when we go back to Riverside, things will be different. You'll be different. People will notice. And some of them, including Damon, will try to claim they always saw your worth. But I need you to remember, I saw it first. When no one else was looking, when you were crying on that floor, I saw exactly who you were." Kiana's throat tightened with emotion. "I don't know what to say." "Don't say anything yet. Just promise me something. When we go back, when everything changes, and it will change, Kiana, promise you'll remember this moment. Remember that your worth was never determined by their approval." "I promise." They stood there in the falling snow, the city humming around them, and Kiana felt something slot into place. This wasn't a fairy tale transformation. She hadn't magically become a different person. But she'd found something more valuable, the courage to be herself, whatever form that took. And she'd found someone who'd seen her, really seen her, all along. If you're loving this story, hit that like button right now. Drop a comment telling me, have you ever transformed yourself after a painful experience? I read every single one. Now, let's see what happens when Kiana returns to Riverside Academy. The whispers started the moment Kiana walked through Riverside Academy's front doors on the first day back from winter break. Is that? No way, that can't be Kiana Carter. Oh my God, it is her. Kiana kept her head high, walking through the hallway with Tasha and Keisha flanking her. She'd lost 25 pounds in Seoul, not the point of the trip, but a natural result of the lifestyle changes. More importantly, she carried herself differently. Shoulders back, chin up, meeting people's eyes instead of staring at the floor. She wore a fitted burgundy sweater dress that Sujin had helped her pick out, paired with boots that made her feel powerful. Her natural curls were styled to frame her face. She looked good. But more than that, she felt good. "Girl, you're causing a scene," Tasha whispered, grinning. "Half the guys in this hallway just walked into lockers." But Kiana's eyes were searching for one person. She found him at his locker, Kenji, looking impossibly handsome in his uniform. When their eyes met across the crowded hallway, something electric passed between them. He didn't smile, but his gaze intensified. Then he gave her the slightest nod, acknowledgement, approval, promise. "Okay, what is happening between you two?" Keisha demanded, because that look was intense. Before Kiana could respond, a voice cut through the hallway chatter. "Kiana? Kiana Carter?" She turned to find Damon Mitchell standing there, his expression stunned. "Wow, you look incredible. I mean, seriously, what happened to you?" The old Kiana would have stammered, blushed, maybe even thanked him. The new Kiana simply raised an eyebrow. "I existed. Same as always. I just stopped caring whether you noticed." She turned to walk away, but Damon caught her arm. "Wait. Seriously. I feel like we got off on the wrong foot last semester. Maybe we could start over? There's a party at my place this Saturday. Take your hand off her." Kenji's voice was quiet, but it cut through the noise like a blade. He'd crossed the hallway in seconds, now standing beside Kiana with an expression of barely controlled fury. Damon dropped her arm immediately. "Who are you? Her bodyguard." "Someone who recognizes trash when he sees it. You had your chance to see her value. You chose mockery. That door is permanently closed. You can't threaten me." "That wasn't a threat. It was a promise. You cornered my girlfriend in front of everyone. Unless you'd like me to share my recording of your confession day behavior with Principal Morrison, I'm sure he'd be interested in your bullying tactics." The color drained from Damon's face. "You recorded that?" "Every second. And I've kept it safe. Insurance, in case you ever bothered her again. Consider this your only warning." But here's where things get really interesting. Because Damon, he wasn't done. Not even close. The next day at lunch, the entire cafeteria went silent when Damon Mitchell stood up on a chair, holding a massive bouquet of roses. "Kiana Carter, can I have your attention?" Kiana, sitting with Tasha, Keisha, and Kenji, felt every eye turn toward their table. Kenji's hand found hers under the table, squeezing reassuringly. "Last semester I was a complete jerk to you. I said terrible things, did terrible things. I was insecure and cruel, and you didn't deserve any of it. I'm here today to publicly apologize and ask if you'd give me another chance. Go to the spring formal with me. Let me show you I've changed." The cafeteria erupted in whispers. Kiana stood up. The room went silent again. "Damon, I appreciate the apology. Truly. But here's the thing. I don't need your validation anymore. I don't need you to see my worth for it to exist. I already know my value." She felt Kenji's presence behind her. He'd stood as well, a silent wall of support. "Last semester, I thought your approval would make me happy. I thought if you just saw me, really saw me, everything would be perfect. But you did see me. You saw someone you could hurt for entertainment. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. But I've changed. You see now that I fit your aesthetic preferences, but I'm the same person I was last semester. Same heart, same mind, same soul, just different packaging. And if you couldn't see my value then, your interest now is meaningless." The cafeteria erupted in gasps and excited chatter. "So no, I won't go to the spring formal with you. I won't give you another chance. And honestly, Damon, I hope you learn from this. I hope you grow. But that growth needs to happen away from me." She turned to leave, But Damon's voice stopped her. Is this about him? The Korean kid? Are you seriously choosing him over me? The cafeteria went deathly silent. I'm not choosing anyone over you, because that would imply you were ever an option. You're not. You never were. Not last semester when I was naive enough to think you were kind, and not now when I know better. She stepped closer to Damon. But yes, I'm with Kenji. Not because he's handsome, though he is. Not because he's popular, though everyone seems to think he's mysterious. I'm with him because when I was at my lowest, when that video went viral and I wanted to disappear, he sat with me. He saw me, the real me, and he didn't laugh. He helped. Kenji moved beside her, his arm sliding around her waist in full view of everyone. A public claim. A statement. That's what real character looks like, Damon. Maybe one day you'll understand that, but it won't be because I taught you. I'm done being your lesson. She walked out with Kenji, Tasha, and Keisha, leaving Damon standing on his chair with wilting roses. Almost there. The ending? It'll make everything worth it. Stay until the very last second. Spring formal happened 3 months later. By then, Kiana and Kenji were the established couple of Riverside Academy. They'd weathered the gossip, the jealous comments, the people who couldn't understand. But they'd also built something real. Study dates that turned into make-out sessions in the library. Lunch periods spent in the courtyard where Kenji would read poetry to her in Korean and then translate. Movie nights at Kiana's house where her mother had adopted Kenji as her unofficial son. For the spring formal, Kiana wore a gold dress that made her skin glow. When she walked downstairs, her mother cried. But the best reaction was Kenji's. He stood in her living room in a perfectly tailored black suit. When he saw her, he forgot how to speak. You're staring, Kiana said. I'm memorizing. You look like every fantasy I've ever had but better because you're real. The dance was magical. They danced, ate terrible food, took photos with friends. Around 10 p.m., Kenji pulled Kiana outside to the courtyard, where fairy lights had been strung between trees. I have something for you. He pulled out a small box. Inside was a delicate necklace, a small pendant shaped like a music note. For the music room, where everything started, where you cried and I sat with you, where I first kissed you, where we became us. Tears pricked Kiana's eyes. It's perfect. Kenji fastened it around her neck. When we graduate in 2 months, when I go back to Seoul for university, I'm not leaving you behind. We're going to make this work. Video calls, visits, whatever it takes. That's a lot of effort. You're worth infinite effort. You're worth everything, Kiana. And I'm not losing you just because of geography. Besides, Soo-jin has already offered you a spot in her wellness program after graduation. Seoul has an excellent university with a great psychology program. Kiana's heart swelled. You've been planning this. From the moment I brought you that backpack, I've been planning a future where you're in my life, permanently. He kissed her then, under the fairy lights, with music floating from the gym and stars visible overhead. When they finally pulled apart, Kiana noticed Damon standing at the edge of the courtyard, alone, watching with an expression she couldn't quite read. Kenji walked over, talked quietly for a moment. Damon nodded slowly. Then Kenji returned. What did you say? I told him that holding on to bitterness only hurts the person carrying it, that true growth means accepting when you've lost something through your own actions, and that if he ever genuinely becomes a better person, I hope he finds someone who can appreciate that growth, but it won't be you, and that's okay. That's very mature of you. I can afford to be mature. I won. I have you. He has regrets. I know which position I'd rather be in. They went back inside for the last dance. Kenji held Kiana close, swaying gently. What are you thinking about? About how proud I am of you. You could have chosen revenge. You could have become bitter. Instead, you chose growth. You chose yourself. I had help. A mysterious, intense Korean exchange student who refused to let me give up. You weren't that mysterious. Everyone thought you were untouchable. Ice Prince, remember? Only until I met you. You melted the ice, made me feel human again. He pulled back to look at her. I know I say I saved you, but Kiana, you saved me too. From isolation, from thinking I had to be cold to be safe. Kiana reached up to cup his face. Then I guess we saved each other. I guess we did. And he kissed her again as the song swelled around them. 3 months later, graduation day. Kiana stood in her gold cap and gown, diploma in hand. Her mother hugged her tight. I'm so proud of you, baby. You've become the woman I always knew you could be. Later, Kiana found herself back at the old music room one last time. Kenji was already there. Remember this place? How could I forget? This is where everything changed. Not everything. You were always strong, always valuable, always worthy. This is just where you started believing it. I'm scared. About the future. About us being apart, even temporarily. Don't be. We have a plan, Kiana. We have a future. A future. With me. Always with me. If you'll have me. Always. They kissed in that dusty music room one last time, the place where pain had transformed into strength, where humiliation had given way to love. When they finally left Riverside Academy, walking hand in hand toward the parking lot, Kiana felt nothing but peace. She'd started this year broken, ended it whole, started it alone, ended it loved. And somewhere in the middle, she'd found herself. Not the version people expected, not the version she thought she needed to be. Just herself. Perfectly, completely, beautifully herself. With someone who'd seen her all along. So there you have it. Kiana's complete journey from heartbreak to healing, from self-doubt to self-love, from painful rejection to a love that sees her exactly as she is. If this story touched you, if you've ever felt invisible or undervalued, drop a comment below. Tell me your story. Don't forget to subscribe for more deep romance narratives that celebrate the complexity of love, identity, and transformation. Remember, your worth was never determined by someone else's ability to see it. You've always been valuable. You've always been enough. Until next time, keep choosing yourself. Keep being brave. Keep believing that your story can have a happy ending too.